Okay, I think we're live now. I'm just waiting till a couple of you guys hop on. So this is going to be a solo stream tonight, and we're going to go through probably quite an interesting set of leaks, I guess you could say, that have been uncovered thanks to Greta Thunberg accidentally sharing it over Twitter. And one of my buddies, Anakin Cringewalker, who's a guest of this show and is on the Foundation's podcast, has sent me over those leaked files about Greta's next project, I guess you could say. So this is quite an interesting one because I guess you could say the Eye of Sauron, aka the Cathedral, aka the establishment, whatever to call it, has been on America for the last 4 years now, trying to get rid of Trump. And if you've read the Times Magazine article, which I was also going to mention, but that's been mentioned by Sargon and countless others now. So it's out there in the public sphere, sort of going about. Remember to archive it, everyone, as well, where they basically state how they allowed basically the build up for a couple of years, and like the coming together of various progressive organizations to what they called it, a shadow campaign, which sounds innocent and fair, open and transparent. I mean, it's actually quite shocking, to be honest. If you reading it out, they constantly justify their I guess they justify their own tyranny in many ways. And it's, I mean, to be honest, it is quite a shocking read. And as I said, that it's been on the lotus eaters and such, so you can see there. It's like a 20-minute clip. But what we've seen with, I said, like the last 4 years, is you've seen the ISR on the cathedral trying to, I guess, remove Trump, undermined him, and then of course, leading up to the election, which was definitely not rigged. And again, post-election, the cathedral has now re-established the international consensus, and now the battle is still not over for them, because now they're purging I guess you could say the populist, the national patriotic populist movement that Trump brought to the table in the US. And currently he has he's been underground for a bit. His supporters have been vilified and been labeled domestic terrorists. So, I mean, if you're a Trump supporter at the moment, it's pretty rough. But what we got here at the moment is, hang on a sec, let me just... hang on a sec. So it's just strange. I got literally no viewers. It's probably because I started early. Usually I start about 9ish or what have you. Okay, well, let's continue. Most of you are going to be watching this later anyway. So, just another update, actually. I'm just going to say, I'll point this out before we continue. The previous stream which I uploaded, which was episode 19. Some of you might notice there's a stream missing, and what's happened is the YouTube. I guess I don't know if it's algorithm or YouTube or how it works, but my stream has been apparent. My last stream is considered spam or spamming related material, which doesn't really make any sense. So what's happened at this moment in time is I've lodged an appeal and it's going through, and I'll try and get back up. I mean, the stream itself, I remember, I think I had Owine and a few others on it. I can't remember who. I know I had Owine on it, and we were just discussing the election, the US election, all sorts of stuff, which probably would get it banned, removed off YouTube. So I mean, hence why I'm not going to talk about the US election because I've already discussed it in that stream, and I don't want this one to get removed as well because this is quite a good one. We're going to go into, and we're going to actually go to India now. For those who've been following me on social media, you would know that I've been saying, now that Biden and the globalists have regained absolute control via the executive office, you're going to see. I've been saying that Brazil is going to be the next country that's going to be on the cathedral's hit list. Nations with national, populist, patriotic people who do not follow the regime, the international regime, the party of Davos, will be considered a threat, and you're going to see some possible acts of liberation all over the place. Now, I said Brazil would be the next one. It looks like I might have been wrong about that. Instead, it looks like India, because I do forget that Modi is the prime. I think it's prime minister or president. Is he president? No, I think he's prime minister of India. His party is, I guess you could say, conservative, Hindu nationalists. They are, again, patriots to India. He had very friendly relations with Donald Trump. He's had, I guess, friendly relations with Boris Johnson, our prime minister. But he's also been receiving criticism from Democrats before the election in America, and obviously now after. And what's the latest thing that's gone on is quite interesting, because it's gone from an internal matter in India to being, or going to become, because this is the thing, this is going to happen in the future, but it's been leaked now, and so I'll explain to this because this may be get confusing, so I'll try and explain it. There's been a series of protests in India, which has been the farmers' protests. The protest, from what I can see, is over the Indian government wants to introduce land reforms of some sort, and the farmers, especially in the Punjab region, are dead against the reforms, and so it's been leading to protests. Some of the clashes have been quite violent. The farmers been trying to march from the countryside into New Delhi, and there's been several cases where I guess government buildings have been stormed. So it's been quite a big thing. It's been ongoing. I've seen it been trending on Twitter, and I guess Hindus and political activists have been in this country and in America sort of been retweeting it and sort of talking about it. In Parliament, a Sikh Labour MP has wanted to raise it in Parliament. So there's been sort of low level, which has sort of been building up. But what happened the other day was Greta Thunberg, of course, we all remember from the the environmentalist Extinction Rebellion phase, has also retweeted this along with and sort of wanting to raise awareness with this along with Rihanna, so and other celebrities as well. But what made this quite interesting is Greta Thunberg not only just retweeted this, but she also shared a list of documents, which she shouldn't have done. But she shared them nonetheless, and quickly removing them. But fortunately, people have been able to grab these documents in zip files and everything. And I've received one from, as I said, from Cringe Walker, who is a friend of this channel. So we're going to go through it. And this is it's amazing because it's not just Greta Thunberg. It's like an entire team around her, but also external groups. This is like all the think tanks, all the activist groups, all the policy advisors, government, media. This is like the cathedral sort of mission statement that we've got here. So without further ado, I'll get the first document. So let's see here. There's quite a lot of documents. I've only been able to pick out a few that I just think noticeable. So we're going to go with this one. So this one is the solidarity with Indian farmers, and this is called Twitter Storm. So this is what's going to happen over. I think it's in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be called the Twitter Storm, and so like with Extinction Rebellion, what's going to happen is suddenly all at once you're going to see people talking about this one particular subject. Now, with Extinction Rebellion, this came to when this started, this really came out of the blue. I didn't see it coming. A lot of people didn't see it coming, but they were able to mobilize enough idiots and Londoners in that order, and enough of them were able to go out and become quite a visible thing. The media was sort of on board from the start. And so when we're going to go through this, if you think about, because I think this is the same sort of template that they use with Extinction Rebellion, and we'll see why. So this is the solidarity with Indian farmers Twitter storm. So this mission statement is not meant for Indian people. This is meant for people like people in the West, like many of us. It is people outside of India who may not know what the what the whole farmers' protest is about. But this is about not so much the farmers or even what the crux of the issues is. It's about Twitter storm that they want to create. And I just want to say one thing before I go forward. Greta Thunberg has sort of come to hot water over this. She's going to be investigated for conspiracy in India. So, as I say, this is something when we go through it. I can totally agree with the Indian government and the Indian police on this, because this is, this is, we're talking about foreign intervention. This is pretty much foreign intervention on a mass scale to destabilize another country during a pretty rough time in a region which has a deep-rooted sectarian problem. So we'll get started with this. This is a toolkit. So here we go. So first starts with, thank you for joining multiple day Twitter storm to highlight the escalating violence and injustices facing Indian farmers who have been protesting peacefully for over 2 months. Okay, so this Twitter storm is going to be over several days, and it is to highlight violence and injustices, not so much to do with the farming aspect or land disputes, which some of it's come down to. It's just escalating violence and injustices, which injustice is quite a broad term. I don't know what they could mean. It could merely mean anything. I mean, we'll see, land inequality and everything in the set, but yeah. So why are they protesting? And remember, this is all, as I said, this is all for people not in this outside India, which is, again, we're going to get to it, but why? I why do you have to be involved with a country which you have nothing to do with, at all on this? I mean, this is like really bad leeching. But this is the ISR one, which is going to descend on India. And if there's any Indians who are going to watch this, you need to really, I would say, just ignore it. It's going to be hyped up. It's going to be seen as like an upswell of popular sentiment. It's not. It's all astroturf. It's all simulated. It's all fabricated. None of it's real. Absolutely none of this is real. This is nothing. People don't want this. This is all being established by the cathedral and by the elites. But we'll get through this. So why are they protesting? Protesters are demanding the repeal of new laws in relation to agricultural reform and that politicians from Prime Minister Narendra Modi party hurriedly passed in September without sufficient consulting farmers. Well, I imagine because he has a majority in the parliament, I imagine he just used that majority to pass a law. I don't know. I'm not on the side. I don't really have a view on the farmers because I don't know too much about it. But I mean, I guess that all of this is just internal parliamentary things. So and by not allowing a proper parliamentary scrutiny and for the resolution to be put to a vote despite motions from members of parliament in opposition prior to the same, it had been pushed by misusing the emergency ordinance route amidst pandemic, cause lockdowns. Modi's government claimed that the new laws will liberalise, industrialise, nationalise the agriculture market. It might do. I don't know. I mean, they set out quite clearly what the internal division within India over this new farming law, which again, I don't see how this affects the international slacktivist groups. I don't see. This is a strange one. But we'll get into it. I haven't read these through. I've sort of skim read them through earlier, but we'll get into this. So got more information, and this is quite good because they've got it so people on the ground, I guess, can do a hashtag India toolkit to get toolkits available to them when they want to do whatever. And so they go on to the next thing. So this is like their next point. The Indian government's brutalizing, arresting, killing their citizens. Hundreds have already been injured. Many are missing. Many individuals are already reported dead. I mean, I've seen some of the clips. There has been violent rioting, and I'm not going to say violent protest because you have a protest or a riot. You can't have both. It has been violent riots. Hang on a sec, I've lost it. So I lost the document. So I mean, they've been. I don't know about the deaths. I haven't seen any stats about deaths. Again, injured, because there's been a long ongoing rioting. So, okay. Again, how does this affect you, Miss Thunberg and Rihanna? How does this affect any of you? So, the government has ordered for the internet to be shut down at protest sites and surrounding areas in order to create social media blackouts, stop communications with the rest of the world. Yep, sounds about right. To be honest, I think from these folders where there's active subversion, I think it's warranted. And so we've got police have attacked peaceful protesters using tear gas, petrol bombs, batons, and water cannons. Haven't seen the petrol bombs. I've seen tear gas, batons, and water cannons. Haven't seen the petrol bombs. Police also cut off food, fresh water supplies in an attempt to starve the protesters. Well, I've not. I found this on shut up! Shut up, Siri. Siri was going off on one. Again, from what I've seen, protesters have tried to storm like a specific area and set up shop there. So it goes into a question of trespassing, illegal trespassing, and such. From what I've seen, though, I don't know what when they cut off food and fresh water. I have not seen that. I mean, most of the protests have been trying to march from like the countryside to urban centres like New Delhi and such, as I mentioned earlier. So. Yeah, this seems to be a real sort of false. You can see the AstroTurf sort of false narrative forming, yes, and they're being protest sites. So it's just here by installing barricades, concrete spikes, digging up roads in order to prevent food. I mean, well, on the protest sites, I've seen barricades. I don't know if the police put them up. Or was it receiving peaceful protesters? Yep. It hasn't been peaceful protests, but again. And so we've got your humanitarian aid organizations, charities from around the world and everything. So yeah, you've got the whole world, the whole sort of cathedral's eyes been on this for some time. And now this is like the plan of action, which I assume is to bring down the Indian government, or to economically damage the Indian government. It just goes into why the farmers are protesting these new laws, and I mean they've had to include this because if there are people they need to, I guess, know why, because they might be challenged on Twitter or anything by people. So. I mean, so from what I can see, I think they want to make the agricultural sector more productive. I think that's what a lot of the government's initiative is, which, I mean, I don't really have much of a view on this. It depends, because I just don't know the agricultural world in India, to be honest. And I don't think it's my place to say. I don't think it's their place to say, to be honest. But you go down the list of reasons, and so what you got here is you got this, and this goes into the next point, which is probably why they're doing it. Like, the environmentalists, the sort of Marxist rationale to try and get their revolution is they go use the guise of environmentalism, or environmentalism's latest is the one that they use to get their policies forward. So this is the implications on this strike extended far beyond the subcontinent and the Indian agriculture industry. So this isn't about India. This is about creating a movement, testing it in India, and then exporting it around the world, presumably to places where countries who do not follow the cathedral narrative. So you could be like Eastern Europe, Poland, Hungary, Brazil, I guess. Again, it's my betting one. Maybe Italy. I don't know, but this is going to probably here in the UK as well. And so, so yeah, this is going to be like a testing ground for the sort of new Extinction Rebellion to further, you know, degrade society and degrade the, you know, demoralize movements which are really generated by the populace. So where we are. So regardless of the economic arguments for or against the reforms, one thing is clear: Indian farmers are protesting to preserve their land and livelihoods. I imagine some of them are. I imagine some of them are. I don't know. I don't think you've asked them, to be honest, but sure, that's they could be. Their frustrations match those of small farmers in many countries. No, I wouldn't say that. I think farmers in many countries have different other issues. Farmers in UK have, you know, Brexit, EU, tomfoolery, fucking around. Farmers in France and Germany have different issues. I mean, I refuse to believe that farmers across the West are lying awake at night thinking about the environmental impact of Indian agricultural laws and how it will affect them down the road. So we'll get. Let's go through this. Land inequality and corporate consolidation of agriculture industry undermine the ability to maintain suitable economic let's go back. I'm going to check the live stream, by the way, because it's different pages and I can't fucking be doing it. Can't fucking be asked with this. Yeah, so I mean, this is where you go into the nice little Marxist nitty gritty: land inequality, corporate consolidation of the agriculture industry, undermine the ability to maintain suitable economic and environmental systems. I mean, you don't mind corporates taking over you don't mind the corporate world when they're giving you money for your environmentalism. The banks don't mind. I mean, this sort of pretend caring for smallholders and family farms and indigenous people or Indian people. I mean, this is the thing. Okay, so this is the midwit, the sort of mentally challenged leftist Western talking points whenever they're talking about an event. So it's like, oh, okay, here's the buzzwords: indigenous people, rural women, youth, and yeah, and then they go into rural communities. But it's like, yeah, indigenous people, rural women, youth. Everywhere has indigenous people. Everywhere has rural women. You fucking idiots. This highlighting of it is such a it's such a brainlet worldview that just, yeah, when you put it in documents, and I've seen it like at work and everything, it's like, how can you how do you put that stuff in there without sounding like a complete and utter wanker is beyond me. It really is. It is meaningless terminology. It's absolute grotesque Americanism, which is just embarrassing, and it really appears back mentally slow. I'm not going to say the R word because I get in trouble with that, but it's mentally slow mentality, and is meaningless. I mean, if you went out to India and you use this with them, I imagine half the rural people would look at you like you're some bloody nut job that's come out of an asylum. So while more and more land is concentrated in fewer hands, many serving the interests of the corporate, agribusiness, and distant investors, utilizing industrial models of production that employ fewer and fewer people. Again, this is quite interesting because the corporate side is, we know this is not true because look at the people who financed Extinction Rebellion. Look at the people who financed Black Lives Matter. It was all corporate interest, and it was all through, and also Wall Street, and that's eminent society. But the agricultural corporate side is persona non grata with these guys. It's quite an interesting one. I guess it's. I mean, I think this is the. I think this is their. This is the. I mean, there's been an attempt on farming for a while in the world in general, getting us to eat bugs and behave like orcs and mutants. So I mean, I'm not surprised that they've sort of come after farming. And obviously, with India, they've seen a potential crisis they can exploit. And so they just go on to they don't stick with like the actual farming bit. They just go on tangent, usual leftist tangents about equality, inequality, women, and all that sort of crap that you don't want to listen to. But so when land is concentrated in the hands of few industrial farming operations, sustainable farming practices are placed with destructive monocultures that erode soil equality. What the fuck is soil equality? Well, farming needs to be in the hand of people who know how to farm. What they are suggesting is the Mugabeization of farming, where you just hand it over to the people who have no idea how to farm, what to farm, or maintain the land as a bare basic. And that, of course, leads to starvation. So from my mind, I think this is a action plan. What makes this so sinister is it is an action plan to make India dependent on others. I mean, I'm not going to say maybe America. I don't know. Dependent, and I mean, possibly even force them to starvation. Because this is what happened. This is. You can take Soviet farming in the 30s, Ukraine in the 30s. You can take China under Mao, Pol Pot in Cambodia. I mean, there is multiple examples you can draw from where this sort of redistricted the land and soil. Well, I never heard of soil equality before. That seems like a absolute fucking spastic term to use. Sorry, mentally slow term to use. And I mean, these people are insane. They're absolutely insane. And they're very dangerous. Do not kid yourself. I mean, this is what I say to my warning to the Indian people: do not kid yourself with these lot. They will use every tool, like tools here, in the book to subvert and make it sound all rosy and nice and positive, and in the actuality, it will be a very bad outcome if as I said, Zimbabwe is anything to go by. And so and this is the thing, because one thing you think about, just look at these like land inequality, women behind the Indian protest. You can imagine yourself, whether you're watching a BBC news item or a CNN news item, you can imagine how it's going to turn out. There'll be show of the protests, and the journalists say, but let's look at the women behind the protest, and they'll interview some random women who's with them, and it sort of fits the sort of shitty narrative that we exist in, the shitty worldview we exist in, where you have your indigenous minority, blah 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 blah, all the buzzwords, fit it in that thing, and it's good to go. And so I can see this. I can envision this being played out in a news item. I can see this being played out in tweets by these activists. So yeah, so this is and so this goes on to links to I guess political movements in the country, which is like the Land Worker Alliance. Oh, sorry, no, this is the UK Land Worker Alliance, communist organisations. I mean, one thing I find really sinister about this is all being orchestrated and all done outside of India. So this is an attack on another nation. And this, I mean, we've been hearing like this whole Russia conspiracy, fake news conspiracy about Russia interfering in the US elections and US political system. This, which never happened. It was complete fabrication. It was a complete lie by the Democrats in America, and it's a complete lie by the media. This is what they've accused Russia of doing. This is what's happening, and it's going to happen. And this is their. I mean, this is the smoking gun. These documents, these are smoking gun. So what you got here is you got list of names. So you got Kavitha. Sorry if I don't pronounce this correctly, but Kavitha Kuganti of Maka I don't know who these are. Says the lack of land ownership makes female farmers invisible. Without land, they are not recognised as farmers despite their large contributions to the sector. So you got usual feminist nut job. Lack of safe government pricing, gender wage gap, your usual stuff. Okay. This is the sort of stuff they've been looking to find in the West, but they can't because we don't have a gender wage gap. We don't have these levels of inequality. They do have them here. They probably have them in India, maybe. I don't know. So, again, exploiting it. And what they'll do is they'll sort of use the sins of another country and import it onto us. So they'll talk about gender wage gap in the farming industry in India. And the media and will manipulate it. The computer will sort of manipulate it into believing that it's something that still goes on in this country. And then you have the useful idiots who will then regurgitate this, complete false narrative, this astroturf narrative that has been formed, and guilt trip and sort of badger their own nation governments. And when we see this here, like you got here, we need you, please share and ask others to take action. So this is suggested posting. There are just some suggested posts, but feel free to tweet your own. It's helpful if you add image or videos to your tweets, some images below. And you can also tag others, either reshare and potential tag pressure and everything. So they got videos, they got images already set up, and also they got a list. So first of all, you got Boris Johnson, Downing Street. I don't know what that is, and maybe like some Indian government group, United Nations, human rights, and all that sort of stuff. And they've got the hashtags, farmers protest, stand with farmers, the world is watching. So this is going to be hyped up into a, I guess you could say like an equivalent of an Arab Spring, because this is getting a lot of people involved who should not be involved for a very local and specific dispute between farmers and the government. And I mean, this is a real shitty thing to do. This is a real shitty thing to do because it's just so fake. I mean, and what makes it frustrating is I know that the government will go along with this because it's like these people are riding the government's back with a nice carrot and stick out in front, and the government is just sort of crawling along trying to get the stick, trying to get the carrot. and they never do, because they're just following the lead of the activists, and this is something that I think it is going to happen. So this particular action plan, I may have misspoke earlier, but this is something that's already happened. So it says, please post on social media en masse Thursday the 4th of February, so yesterday, and Friday the 5th of February, today, between these certain times. So this is the way that they can manipulate the hashtag, the trending bit. If so many people retweet or hashtag buzzwords, the tags below, then that's their way of making noticeable. And none of this is organic. This has all been orchestrated in great detail, which is quite shocking. I mean, we all know this has sort of gone on, but when you see it, it's something to behold, because you realised that the left aren't fucking around when it comes to them and getting away in their power, and their power, and if you get in their way, they will utilize, because the media's on their side. You got apart from the activists, you got the celebrities and everything. I mean, it's quite a powerful combination. I think equally you can challenge governments with this sort of power. So and again, these are all the people that were tagged in: United Nations, United Human Rights, Amnesty UK, Boris Johnson, a lot of UK related, because obviously we have a high Hindu, Muslim from that region population, obviously legacy of the empire. So we'll just see where we can go. So I mean, I don't really know what to say about this, because this is something which is, I mean, pretty. It's just surprising. So this is the next file we're going to, which is called the tweet bank. So this is basically, again, this is for the activists on the ground and in other parts of the world, and this is what to tweet out now, what to tweet out in the future, and it is, you can see them ramping up the tone, the language. So first it's hashtag farmers protest, hashtag take back farm bills. I mean, we've had to endure the absolute bullshit narrative of Trump and sedition for how long now? For several weeks. This, by their own standards, is take back farm bill. That could be sedition. That could be considered violent language by their own standards. And so what we've got here, this is like the few suggested tweets. So basically, you're some metropolitan uni student who's a complete idiot, and you want to jump on the bandwagon to get some internet clout. So what do? Copy. I can't do it, I'm not signed in, but do a copy, go to Twitter, paste. There you go. I made my contribution, and that's why you see, like, you probably remember from Extinction Rebellion and Black Lives Matter, you had people collecting compilations of tweets where it was copy and paste. Same with Trump, when it's like, Trump is a dangerous and such individual. You had like multiple accounts of people tweeting the exact same thing, and it's like, well, this is it. They get these emailed to them. they copy and they paste it, and it's like on an industrial scale. And then this is, and then it again, it is it's really red pilling, to be honest. This sort of stuff, because this is just words. It's just empty words. I mean, and also it's their intentions, because they don't want to engage with the government. I mean, this is an act to overthrow the government. This is an act to undermine local government, to undermine police, to cause division, and to cause sectarianism in the family, in the country. And they go on tangents here. They talk about, I mean, they just generally talk about education and health. This is like an exterior communist force trying to overthrow another nation. I mean, and this is where it's getting dangerous, because you further you read into this, it's none of it's about farming. It's about social justice. It's about equality. It's about gender this. I mean, it is an attempt to hijack a movement. And as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something into the Indian, why they want to protest. I imagine there is. But the problem is, for both sides need to realize that their movement has been hijacked at this point. It's been hijacked by Western scumbags, Marxist scumbags in the West. And, I think, to be honest, I think, I think they are planning for, they're definitely encouraging heightening up attention. They're definitely encouraging financial assaults to take place on the Indian government, which also affects the Indian people via the UN. If the Indian government wants to shut down the internet, I would say let them at this point, because as much as I would not want this to happen, I do. What do you do if you're a country and very powerful exterior alien forces, foreigners who have no tie to your country, are effectively trying to behave like a fifth column, like a digital fifth column, and overthrow you from within? What do you do? Do you let them? Do you let them enact the communist revolution and cause the deaths of millions? I wouldn't let them. I definitely would not allow them to take my country and turn it into a shithole. What gives them the bloody right to do that? India has been a civilization for thousands of years, and some privileged metropolitan mutants are coming along and trying to tell a subcontinent. And this is the thing: throughout the Brexit years in this country, we've been accused by these same bastards of being neo-imperialists, of wanting to hold on to the empire. Okay, what are you fuckers doing? You're trying to enact your own world values on a foreign nation. That is imperialism. What you guys are doing, what you are doing, Greta, what you are doing, Rihanna, is imperialism. You goddamn hypocrites. I'm not having it anymore. Anytime that someone talks to me about, oh, you're an imperialist, oh, you're one about the empire, well, yeah. Do you know why? Because I want to stop fuckers like you and your corporate interests from absolutely buggering up our society and our world, because that's what you're doing. A useful tool doesn't come to it at this stage. It's just lapdog. You're all a bunch of lapdogs to these people. So I'll stop sharing that because we'll go to the next next one. So what's this? So what I can see here is that there seems to be some working together with political opponents in India against Modi and his, I think it's the BJP party. And I mean, again, this is, I guess it's like an index to us, because I mean, I don't know what half this stuff is, to be honest, when it comes to it, but the documents that I have, because it's not been listed correctly, but again, these are more copy and paste talking points to rile up. So I mean, of course, they use the pandemic. Again, it's big corporations. I mean, the buzzwords is land ownership, middlemen, big corporate interests, and what was the other one? Corporate interest and farm holdings. Oh God, I missed what. Too bloody tired to even do all this shit. Yeah, small marginalised. So I mean, you got a lot of social justice, victimhood, vitriol in these buzzword talking points. You're going to see on Twitter. You're going to see them over the next couple of days. So small and marginal Indigenous women, victim minority crap. You know, I feel sorry for Indian farmers because they're going. I don't know if they have. If they don't have, most likely don't have Twitter, but you're going to be tarred with the same brush as the Eddie Izzards of the world. So I mean, yeah, that'd piss me off, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm just reading some of this as we go along, to be honest, because it's yeah, I mean, again, you can, whoever's put these framings together, I mean, it's been rather interesting because it really is this is sort of stuff that I can see them using in the West as a context. I don't know if it work in somewhere like India on the population there, because it seems like it's something out of Das Kapital, to be honest, like the talk about like of food and grain and everything. I mean, it just seems like really hobbled together, muddled together quickly, and has not really been thought through in great detail. And it's like they haven't really asked the farmers like what the actual problem is, what they produce. Cattle, for example, haven't seen any of that. I'm going to end the stream now, I think, guys, because this is I'm just it's a shame because there hasn't been really many people here. Yeah, I'm probably going to end it. I think my channel's been having some problems, as I said, because I've been flat. I've been given like warning or something by YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to go over probably to Joz's channel, Owine's channel, and sort of go on to there. So that's sort of the content I was going to go through. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go through AOC or anything like that. And Labour, UK versus Labour, or anything. We'll talk about that next week when I've got some guests back on, like Rubber and Co. But because next week we're going to have quite a. I think we're going to be sort of stream sharing with British Knight and his co-host, Chicago Liberal. Is it Chicago Liberal? Yeah, something like that. And then we'll give you talk about the state of the UK, the Union, that sort of stuff. But yeah, until then, that was all the files that I've got. To be honest, it really is basically the blueprints of what their messaging is going to be, and it is rampeting up, and it is incitement. It is pure incitement. And I mean, I think Greta Thunberg is guilty of incitement. I think it's definitely attempts to overthrow a legitimate government. But we'll see where it goes. But thank you for those who will be watching. And I'll see you all next week.